there's going to be some really dark moments and it's going to be really hard, but those pass. And sometimes it's a matter of timing and sometimes it's pace, and there's some things that you can control and sometimes you can't. There's, a lot of the good fortune we've had has just been in sticking around and kind of having that ultra mindset of like, all right, if we think there's something here and maybe we were just a little bit too early or we're waiting for that right moment to come along. But it's been a big series of pivots and evolutions and butt kickings and blessings.
1, 2, 3, 4.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 111 of the On the Runs podcast. It is June. Where has the year gone? It's Erica's birthday month. We got the Goffstown Gallop, Mount Washington, a 100-miler by the end of the month. But first, let me say hello to my amazing co-host, 6-star Erica. What's up?
How you doing, buddy? I love June. I'm so happy it's finally almost officially summer. I mean, we already had Memorial Day, so that kind of kicks off things, but June is my favorite.
The unofficial kickoff of summer's Memorial Day. I agree.
It is. And it's been super nice and warm, and I'm just loving it. I totally dig the summertime.
Yeah, this is the last week of school for the boys, and then Adeline has a few more days the following week. I'm going to be, when you're listening to this right now, I will be at State College, Pennsylvania, doing some work. We're recording on a Sunday night. I leave tomorrow. I was just messaging Aaron from Will Run For, being like, I'll be in Philly.
Where
Do you want to
at?
meet me in Philly tomorrow for dinner or something? Maybe we'll do something Wednesday dinner. But I got to ask you this. I go, what's up, everybody, and welcome to episode, I think I said 111. How am I supposed to do the numbers now that we're in triple digits? Do I go 111 or episode 111? How do I do this? Like, do I go 123?
112, 115, 130,
111. Okay, so I should go
190.
welcome to episode 111. All right, that's
It's got
how
a
we'll do
nicer
it.
flow to it, right?
I think
it's
I
easy.
said 111.
Hell if
I
I
did,
remember,
I
dude.
did.
That was 30 seconds ago, and I forget.
Yeah, let's start over. You ready?
Sure.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 111 of the On the Runs podcast.
Much
How
better.
you doing, Erica?
Much better. That's got a nice ring to it.
It does.
Oh, you're
Let
too
me
funny.
ask you a question.
Yeah.
Have
what's up?
you ever heard of the Boom Boom Room in New York City?
Honestly, I think I must have heard of it from something, either like an SNL skit or some kind of TV show or movie or something, but I couldn't describe it to you. I have no clue on that front. What brings this up?
Our friend Allie G posted a bunch of photos. She went out to some club or something. Actually, she was in Saratoga Springs.
Okay.
Well, I'm assuming it was New York City. And in the neon lighting, it showed at this bar, like over here was the Boom Boom Room.
Fancy.
I was like,
it sounds
ooh,
kind of scandalous, doesn't it?
What's the Boom Boom Room? So I Googled it.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Don't leave me
spoiler
hanging.
alert.
Go ahead.
I found the wrong Boom Boom Room.
Wait, there's more than one Boom Boom Room?
Yes.
Of course there is.
Yes.
Okay.
But when I Googled Boom Boom Room in New York City, this high-class fancy bar came up. And Allie G told me that's not the same Boom Boom Room I went to. So I don't know what Boom Boom Room Allie went to. But this Boom Boom Room apparently has the most amazing bathrooms. And I want to go to experience the men's bathroom at the Boom Boom Room.
Okay, I'm listening.
Just to experience it.
What, it has like a cool view or something?
Yeah, apparently you're pissing in front of these glass windows looking over the New York City skyline, and I'm like, gotta go.
You know
I'm gonna
what?
you know what I'm gonna do the day this happens? I'm gonna hydrate all day long, so I have to make multiple stops to the Boom Boom Room bathroom.
Mm-hmm. You know what, though? If the Boom Boom Room doesn't work out, the next time you and I are in London for our super big future On the Runs live show, we've got to go to the Shard. Okay, it has some of the most amazing bathrooms, but it is this crazy cool landmark in London, And once we're there for our live on the run show in the future someday,
it's going to happen.
Maybe, fingers crossed.
It's going to happen. And we have a tour guide in London after that plane ride I had.
Yes, we do. So that has some crazy, awesome bathrooms as well. So we'll have to check them both out.
So yeah, it's quite a bit of bathroom talk to start the podcast. We're only 3 minutes in.
New? Yeah.
How was your weekend? How are you feeling recovery-wise? You did some crazy thing. Why don't you tell everyone what you did this weekend?
Yeah. So this weekend was my peak training week for my Yeti 100 race coming up at the end of the month. Oh my God, I'm freaking out. But I really didn't want to do a 37 miler by myself. So I would have had a 37 miler on Saturday and a 12 miler on Sunday. So me being the wicked smart person I am, I decided to do an unofficial Yeti 24-hour challenge, which you run to equal 50 miles. You would do approximately 8.4 miles every 4 hours for a 24-hour span. So that was basically my Friday into Saturday.
Okay, so you run 6 times, 50-something miles. Was it like a designated Yeti weekend, or have you just done things like this in the past and you're like, that's how I'm going to break this down? Because wasn't it a challenge? It
is a challenge. Yep. It definitely, you get your mileage in and it helps you function while being tired, which is very useful when it comes to like having a 30-hour cutoff during a race. Like you need to be able to move when you're exhausted. So this definitely helped. But yes, I've done this before. You've helped me in the past. You've heard me complain. And
you were you were a pain.
And that was only the second run of the night too. But I mean, this one I think went a lot better.
Okay, cool. Let's talk about it now. Let's run through it. A little Monday morning quarterback. But first, you started Friday at 5 and then you went 5, 9, 1, 5. No?
I started at 1 o'clock. You were there.
Oh, that's right. Yes, you started at 1 o'clock and I joined you.
Yeah.
So you went 1 o'clock. What were the time slots you went at?
Well, you pretty much nailed it, except in a different order. I did 1 p.m., 5 p.m., 9 p.m., and then 1 a.m., 5 a.m., 9 a.m.
Okay, so I think that way maximizes like getting tired because you woke up Friday morning.
Yep.
You went to work. Like,
I did.
It's not like you woke up and started running. You killed some hours.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe you could have saved those hours somehow, but your first run was 1 o'clock with yours truly. It was your best run, your most favorite run.
It was
the only run with a friend.
I mean,
the plan was to go with you the next morning at 5 a.m. We'll get to why I didn't go.
Mm-hmm.
It's not my fault, guys. It's not my fault. We'll get there.
Yeah.
But the first run, we went out kind of way too hard for what you were doing. Mm-hmm. Even I was tired. It was hot.
I was feeling really good, though. I was glad you were there because it definitely took my mind off of things. The miles went by super fast just because we chat. That's all we do. We have our podcast meetings on the run. Exactly.
It was not an on the runs meeting, though. It was not a podcast meeting.
No.
Yeah.
But
not like Wednesday.
It was still conversational pace. I mean, I felt really great after that one. And I went home right after, had some food, and then just got to chill until my next one. So you said that this was the first run was the only one that I did with a friend. I actually got to meet up with, well, not meet up, but I happened upon an old family friend, my great uncle Phil. I've known him since I was born.
Is he great?
He's great. He's awesome.
He's great.
So Uncle Phil was awesome to bump into. I've been waiting to see him. He lives in the area. He loves to take his bike out on like every rail trail in the area, like whether it's Massachusetts.
I like his style.
Yep. You would love him. My dad's like, you should get him on the podcast. And I think he would be a great addition if and when we need some people.
I wonder if great
stories.
Uncle Phil has a great Code Brown to share.
100% he does.
Okay.
He absolutely does. So
cool. So did he like ride his bike alongside you?
No. So I was about to finish just like the turnaround point. I think I was maybe like 0.05 from turning around, and I ran by him, and he notices me as I noticed him, and I go, Uncle Phil, and he like gets off his bike, and I stopped and talked to him for like 15, 20 minutes.
Phil. Great Uncle Phil.
Yes. So I stopped and I talked to him for like at least 15 minutes. And then I was like, well, nice to see you, but I got to get on my way. And so he rode his bike back and I just kept running.
So you did your run with me at 1.
Mm-hmm.
You did the run at 5 o'clock. 9 p.m., I think Bran joined you for a little bit.
Yep.
And then 1 a.m., you did the treadmill run.
Yes.
But the game plan was for me and a couple others to join you at 5 a.m. And the others, we'll just call them out. No names, but they bailed. They bailed on you.
It was a blessing in disguise. Total. Like, I'm being completely honest with you. At that point, I was rolling out of bed because I tried to get whatever sleep I could. Really didn't happen. I just laid down. But I would get out of bed 10 minutes before I was supposed to start running because I was just so tired. So if I had gone to run with you guys, I would have been exhausted. I shouldn't be driving. Like, that's not a great idea. So I had to literally beg you. I'm like, please sleep in.
Right. She begged me, guys. She begged me. But I was sleeping.
Do it. I'm like, dude.
I was
were
sleeping.
Up at midnight, though, still planning on it. I'm like, don't do it. Just don't.
I had my stuff packed. And so when I was up at midnight, and like at some point in my sleep, I like woke up, looked at my phone, and just messages from you saying, don't come. Please don't come. I'm not going to go. I'm just going to walk on the treadmill. It's cold out. My basement's warm. Don't come, please. And I just rolled back over in bed and said,
yep.
Soft.
I've been watching so many, like I got through this by watching like so much Netflix. It was great.
I'll tell you what, I'm disappointed in myself too.
Why?
I should have gone and pushed you.
I don't think I would have.
You needed the training.
I still got the miles in, dude. That's
you
what
needed
this
the
is about.
training. You needed to be running at 1 a.m. and 5 a.m. Did you run at all?
Have you done an ultra before? It's mostly walking.
At 1 a.m. and 5 a.m. Did you run at all?
1 a.m. I did. 5 a.m. I did not. And then 9 a.m. So actually, during the 5 a.m. one, my socks, I did wear new pairs of socks every time. But the kind of socks I've been wearing really started to irritate my feet again. And here comes another heat rash. So I'm wicked pissed at this point. I'm like, another heat rash. My feet are itchy, irritated. So
more content for OF.
Oh my God. Oh, you didn't want to see those.
Only feet. Only feet.
So that made the 9 a.m. run like miserable. And it was a slog. I dragged myself through that. I took a couple of breaks, not gonna lie. And I got it done, but it wasn't pretty.
All right. I'm going to play some Monday morning quarterback. Tell you what I think you did wrong or what I think you could do better now.
Sure.
You maximized the tiredness effect by starting at 1 p.m. on a day that you already woke up, you worked, you didn't wake up and just prep and go. I think you should have started Saturday morning at 5 a.m. You go to bed Friday night, you get a full night of sleep, you wake up at 4:30, you eat a bagel or something, you go on that 5-mile run. And then your day Saturday is full with just little naps and runs. You do the last one at 1 a.m. and then you go to bed and you sleep till noon the next day.
I could have done that. But you know me, I am not a morning runner. And I operate best in the afternoon. So I had a great start. I would have had a real
up all
sloggy
night.
start.
You never got real sleep.
No, but I mean,
what was your Saturday like? Like you went to bed at what time Saturday morning after your 9 a.m. run? Like 11? And did you sleep all day? No, did you? Oh my God, you must be so messed up right now.
I was still on the treadmill. No, actually, whatever I did worked out. It literally took me almost 3 hours to walk the 8.4 miles. I got off the treadmill at noon. My feet were terrible, so I soaked them in some cold water. Then I took a shower. I took, I think, a 2.5 hour nap, and I was fine the rest of the day. I went to bed at 11 o'clock last night, woke up at my normal 10 o'clock this morning. I feel fine.
Awesome.
It's not the smartest move, but I don't know.
What's your streak at? You do a mile every day. What's your streak at?
Oh, let me look real quick. I have an app for that. It's just a days counter. Days counter. I'm at 1463.
Impressive.
Oh my God. I just hit 4 years? Holy shit.
Holy shit. You're just realizing this now. It's 2024.
I missed my 4-year streak. Goddamn. I didn't even notice. So I started on June 1st of 2020, and I've been going strong ever since.
Oh, it was yesterday.
It was yesterday.
Or if you're listening now, it was Saturday.
God, I'm such an idiot. It didn't even occur to me. So happy 4-year run-anniversary to me.
Yes.
Run walk-anniversary. Let's wow. It that. But wow.
And happy birthday month.
Yay!
Your wicked awesome
I'm
gift
so
came in the mail, and you're going to have to wait all month to get it.
So, because you've been hyping up this awesome gift, I
It's
decided
sick.
something that I am going to make for you because
Make.
yes, it will be handmade with love and hopefully it will it'll compare to whatever
I
the
didn't
hell you're
hand
planning.
make this, by the way.
Oh, I don't
didn't
care.
hand
No,
make it.
but I was trying to think. I'm like, what the hell can I do?
Are you
for
going to
Jay's
knit me
birthday?
socks?
No. Oh God, no. The sock is gonna look like I don't know, toes all over the place. 6 toe places. I don't know. But you'll see. I'll have to see if I can actually execute it and see how it looks.
All right. I think we need to get to our guest.
Yeah, it's been a
we
while.
keep going down this rabbit hole. We could talk about.
I am so excited for our upcoming guest. He was absolutely amazing. So let's get into it.
This guy has so much passion.
He brought the energy from the second he jumped on through the entire episode.
I was like, hold on, dude, let me hit record.
I know. I was like, how are you this happy right now?
He was so excited to be on the pod. Cool. And the coolest thing is, he was brought to us by Catherine Switcher's people.
Mm-hmm.
How cool was that? Like, and so is next week's guest. And so that's just super cool. We're getting seen and people are like respecting what we're doing out there. And this was just an awesome time. We talked to him for an hour and 40 minutes and he was just so cool about it. We could have kept talking. And I think you might have found a pacer for your 100-miler this fall. Like
I'll have
he
to hit
wants
him
to
up.
run with you.
He is in that area and I'll be like, oh, hey buddy, were you serious? Do you really want to come down?
I think he was serious. He's so cool. He's got a great running background, a great adventure background. He works in the industry. He has the coolest program going on. Is that the right word? A program?
Yes,
and we will do. You already made a purchase, and after you hear from Patton, we are going to do the unveiling of what you purchased.
And they are beautiful.
Oh, are they? I'm excited.
You'll have to listen to see what they are.
All right, guys, have fun and enjoy this amazing guest appearance by Patton Gleason from Relay Goods. Our next guest on the pod is an ultramarathon trail runner who has worked in the outdoor and running industry for over 20 years. He's the founder of Relay Goods, a company that initially got laughed at, but after keeping it on the back burner for a few years, it came back to life and has taken off, working with running brands to reuse shoes, to hit the streets and not the trash. We are super excited to hear not only about his business adventure, but his running career. Patton Gleason, welcome to the On the Runs podcast.
Eric and Erica, thank you guys so much for having me. This is one of my favorite podcasts. So what a thrill and what fun to be on.
We are super excited to have you. I mean, just your energy right now, it's bringing me up from the Monday slumps kind of.
Let's
like,
go. Come on.
I'm getting like, I have to like pump myself up because I'm getting over a little bit of a cold here. So you're going to be the guy today. And I'm so excited that we get to talk to you. So
that's a lot of pressure.
Welcome to our show. Oh, no pressure at all. No pressure at all.
This is the best way to finish off a Monday doing the pod. But I got to say something. I've done my research, man, and I watched some YouTube videos of you talking and stuff. And I was like, oh, man, another guy with a beautiful shaved head. And now you have this amazing head of hair. What's going on up top?
Well, that's really funny. If you found some old stuff on YouTube, you went in the Wayback Machine. And so those days we had we had a whole herd of kids very close together, and so we were trying to start businesses and had little kids, and then trying to also run and train as much as we could. And so it was really a matter of efficiency of like, okay, what's the least decisions that I can make? What's the quickest way that I can kind of get through the day and through the mornings, and that was that was the first sacrifice that we made.
Oh man, I made a similar sacrifice a long time ago. It was partly financial. I paid like $55 for a haircut, and I said never again.
Yes!
And I got buzzers, and so I started buzzing my hair, and then all of a sudden, I really didn't have to buzz my hair anymore. It just stopped.
You could have just been like me and gotten your best friend's sister to cut your hair, because I haven't paid more than like $40 a haircut, and that's with like
It's all tip.
$40
It's
is a lot
basically all
too,
tip,
I
so.
think. I feel. I don't know, Patton. What's
Yeah,
the
this
going
goes
rate
to-
for a
this
men's
drives all the
haircut
way
these
up
days?
here.
The,
from Rhode
the way
Island,
I
so.
measure if things are too much is I try to imagine myself explaining it to like my sainted grandfather. And so $30 for a men's haircut would have blown his mind, or $4 for a cup of coffee. He never could have got his brain around that I would pay $18 for a 4-pack of craft IPAs, and he'd be like, "You mean, son?
I'm guilty
you
of
mean
that,
4
yeah.
cases, right?"
Oh man, this has been a
Inflation
lifesaver.
is
Maybe I'm a
nuts.
few $1,000s richer because of
That's
my head of
right.
hair. I'll tell you that. But dude, I'm so excited to have you on the podcast. This is really cool.
We are excited.
Yes, we are. This is really cool because as we've been around now 2 years, we built our foundation. We're more than 100 episodes. Not only are people starting to reach out to us, but people are starting to suggest people. And we got you as a suggestion. And I did my homework. I went creeping and I was like, yes, this guy is awesome. I can't wait to
Perfect
talk to
fit.
him. A great fit. Ultra runner, running business owner. I want to know it all, but we like to start from the beginning. Patton, where are you from? What was life like growing up? What did you do? Were you a runner, a hockey player, play baseball? Tell us about your upbringing.
You bet. Okay. So I grew up in the Dallas area. I might have been like a 5th or 6th generation Texan. So that was all great, but you're really far from any mountains or the ocean. You're kind of out in the middle of this desert. And so team sports, those were the norm, and soccer and baseball. I loved baseball growing up, and basketball and those kind of things. And then about 8th grade, somewhere right around there, everybody else grew. And so my love for the sport was not quite enough to keep up with this really big differential. And so the only way I could participate in a meaningful way was like the running before and after practice. And but I didn't want to join the team, and And finally the universe, after the 3rd time I got cut from the basketball tryouts, the universe was like, okay, you have only one talent. You like to think of yourself as this Bo Jackson multi-tool. You have one talent, and it's that you can just grind it out longer than anybody else. And that ended up being
Still a good skill.
Yes, yeah, just hard to kill ended up being my skill. And so ran track and cross country, and absolutely loved. I loved it more than I was good at it. I think that in Texas, particularly like in the Dallas area, you had football and softball coaches who were they drew the unlucky card of coaching cross country at 6 o'clock in the morning. I don't know, go run a lot. I mean, I had a lot of coaches that had never run recreationally before, or couldn't fathom like running more than 20 miles in a week, but had a good time. It laid a really important foundation for me. And then went to college out of Texas Tech at the beautiful High Plains out there, and then still kind of dabbled in running purely recreationally. And then a little bit after that, moved out to the East Coast.
Let me ask you this.
Absolutely.
You ran
Very
cross
cool.
country and track.
Yes.
I did both too. I loved cross country. I hated track. How do you feel about the two?
This is upon reflection. I've had a lot of things. Maybe when you get to like the middle part of your life, you're like, oh my God, I should have done this or thought this. I loved cross country, and part of it was I liked the really cool early mornings. The distances were all the same, and I thought that was great. Our track practices were after school, so in Dallas in May, it's 100 degrees, and there was always a wind. Like it was just not super. It wasn't super comfortable, and this probably like the seeds of like ultra running were probably there long before I knew. A 2-hour cross country practice, like summer training when you were putting in miles, that was my favorite thing. 800-meter repeats, get out of here. That's
Yes.
Nobody
Yeah.
likes
what are we
those.
doing? Like, let's go grind as long as we can, and let's dig the well really deep rather than getting super lactic and then a minute later trying to just get even more lactic. So yes, cross country all the way.
Yeah, I loved running on the trails and seeing how far away we could go or how many miles we could click off. I didn't like the feeling of the track. And the fact, I always felt like we had to go all out. So I loved cross country. I ended up picking up ultimate frisbee my last 2 years of high school and said, see you later, track and field. It wasn't for me.
So I might be jumping around a little bit, but does your love for the trails and like the early mornings, did that translate into your running career later on? You don't have to elaborate, but are you a road guy or are you a trail guy?
Trail guy, a million. If I never ran on the road again, it wouldn't bother me even a little bit. So like the extra challenge, and then being in a really beautiful place, and then the trails require you to be hyper present. And so things that have got roots and rocks and ups and downs, like at least I'm not smart enough to just check out. I have to be constantly like, all right. And even to the point of like wearing headphones or something like that. My trail runs are typically, I'm hyper present and focused. The thing that I did find as a kind of a good hybrid between is like the country dirt road. I just absolutely love. And typically you're running by fields and by animals. So you can be a little bit more in cruise control, and they typically are in like really, really beautiful places. And I'd like to think that the worse condition of the road, then the less traffic that's going to be on it. But Erica, you're exactly right. And I can remember we a couple of like cross country trainings we would do at an area that later developed into this mountain biking park. And so, but I loved it. I thought, man, this is, and it didn't bother me at all that you couldn't like open it up and run super fast. Like the fact that it was really hard and there was a lot that was unknown and it was really varied, that it kept my attention in a really good way.
Like a single track trail.
Absolutely. You bet.
So where I live now is less than a mile from where like we're in New Hampshire, from where the New Hampshire state championships were for cross country. And I kind of forgot that until I was running at my daughter's cheerleading practice last summer at this park where the championships were. And as I'm running, I'm like, I remember this trail. So I cut up on the trail. I forgot it's a hill. I'm going up the hill. And then I'm on all the single track again. And I'm like, yes, I love this. I forgot it was here. It's only a mile from my house. And so I've actually gone back a few times since. And I really enjoy that. You're right. It's not so much about the pace. You can't like put the pedal to the floor. You're just cruising. It's a lot of fun. I really do like it. Yeah.
Oh man, what a great way for you to like kind of reconnect with memory lane and see it through a slightly different lens.
Yeah, I wasn't so thrilled about reconnecting with the hill, but since then I actually have, and I keep going there to do hill repeats. I want to ask you, you're from Texas. You moved to East Coast, Virginia, right?
That's right.
Are you familiar or have you run on the Virginia Creeper Trail?
I have run near, but not on the Virginia Creeper Trail, but I've heard that's definitely on the list. I've got a couple ultras planned this year, and they do a couple that are out there. So that one's definitely on the list. Have you run it?
I have, and it is absolutely beautiful. So I do recommend, if you can get on that, to totally take advantage of it.
And Virginia's got a couple of great like converted railroad trails that are now like these multi-use trail. The New River Trail is another great one. And then the city of Richmond now connects all the way with Jamestown. So it's this 56-mile trail called the Virginia Capitol Trail. And
cool.
It starts like right at the falls of the James, to where once the river is actually, it's brackish water. So you're at sea level there, and then it gets outside of town, and absolutely beautiful area. But yes, Virginia Creeper is really high up on the list. We did there's a big relay race in that area called the Blue Ridge Relay that starts not too far from there.
The Blue Ridge Mountains are amazing. I drove by them at least 20-something times, and every time I'm like, I'm going to stop one time and spend some time there. And I didn't really get to do that except for one time. That was more on the North Carolina, Tennessee side. I'm going to be back. I got kids, little ones, that when they get a little older, we'll take the camper down. We'll go to the Blue Ridge Mountains and road trip and spend some extended time out there.
There's so many great little areas, and for as modern and fast paced as big cities, particularly in the Blue Ridge. And then if you go just west of the Blue Ridge along the West Virginia border and Kentucky border, absolutely stunningly beautiful little towns. And a lot of it is like, if you could imagine what Asheville was like 40 years ago, there's a lot of those kind of things where it's a smaller town with unlimited potential, and you can show up at any trailhead, even on really beautiful days, and it's not overly crowded and overly packed. So there's tons of hidden gems. Couldn't recommend the Blue Ridge enough.
Yeah, Asheville is actually the town I visited and checked out the Blue Ridge in that general area of Asheville, North Carolina. I want to mention one more thing. You mentioned the rails that turn into trails. We just call them rail trails around here. I don't know if you use Strava, but one of my goals is I want my Strava heat maps to just keep growing and show that I ran the entire Granite State Rail Trail, or there's one near my work. I work in Mass that goes all the way to Boston. It's called the Minuteman Trail. And I just want to keep growing my heat map. So if there's a trail like that goes 50 plus miles, I'm like, I need to run that entire trail. And I'll run a section and then I'll go back and run the next section. I haven't done it recently. I need to get back to that. I need to complete my map.
Yeah, and what a great way to see, to get out of your like you're running like your habits. Like, I think it is an understandable thing. Like, okay, it's Tuesday, kids got practice, and I run the same loop at the exact same time. And you hear about people who get burned out with running, or they get, I'm bored with running. Well, maybe you're bored with your pace or your location, and just that little bit of mixing it up. Man, what a great way to keep it fresh.
Well, let's get into after high school. We know you move and everything, but did you continue running right out of high school? Did you start joining 5Ks? Did you train for marathons? What was what direction did you go here?
Well, so I, again, I think planting the seeds for ultra stuff, I went to college, and probably like a lot of people, I knew what to tell other people that I was doing that they would approve of. Like, I'm in business school, or I'm going to be a banker, or, I had no idea what I was going to do. And so the curious part of that was I just did a lot. I tried a ton of different things, and randomly at our rec center, they were advertising this like a week-long trip in the Grand Canyon, a backpacking trip. Now, in the Dallas area, just one more time, set the tone. There's no mountains, there's no canyons, there's no rivers, there's nothing. And so I'd never done anything like that. Lubbock was the furthest west of the Mississippi I'd really ever been. And so I, on a whim, signed up for this trip, and it was the most stunningly beautiful place I'd ever been. And we had these nearly from sun up to sundown. We were on our feet and moving all day long. Only did I learn later that the trip itself was like a logistical nightmare. There was everything that could have gone wrong went wrong.
No.
Participants had a hard time, but all I knew was I was in this beautiful place. I was hyper present. It was this shared experience with other people. And then that really opened up my eyes. Like, I had no idea about guiding or kind of outdoor adventures, more outdoor oriented things. And so, I got done with that trip, and then I fudged a resume, and I ended up going to go guide for that, slightly embellished. But I ended up going to guide for that program. And so from the spring semester of my freshman year until after I graduated, I was guiding 3 to 4 weekends out of the month. And then in the summertime, I would go work professionally in southeastern Utah. And so right after school, that's exactly what I did. And so I might not have been running, but I was carrying a really heavy pack for 45 days at a time. And we ended up on the East Coast because a program director that I had there, he had taken a job at a little guiding company out east. I was like, well, that sounds like an adventure, and let's go ahead and give it a shot. And it turns out some people that I worked with, they were getting ready for and training for ultras, and it seemed like the farthest thing from my mind. And the fact that somebody could be on their feet in the mountains for 10 hours at a stretch, like who who does this? But there was a group of people I worked with. They'd signed up for an event called the Great Eastern Endurance Run. That on the East Coast, a really wonderful a woman and her husband, Gil and Francesca Conti, I think is their names, but they put on a bunch of really good races. And then that was my first foray into it. And the really big takeaways from that one was that, one, I had no idea what I was wildly. I showed up with a lot of ambition, and that was really it. Exceptionally underprepared. Lots of enthusiasm, but really underprepared. But I went through this lifetime of emotions in this 8-hour window, and some really amazing highs, and I saw some beautiful places, and some dark moments when you realize your tank is nearly empty, and there's the only way back is up and over the mountain. But I remember distinctly the last 2 miles were on the Blue Ridge Parkway that ended in Afton at this old hotel in Afton, Virginia, up on top of a mountain. And the feelings of like just gratitude. I mean, I was a sobbing mess running in. I'm like, man, I cannot believe that my body could do this. And you just reflect on all the people over the course of your life who maybe gave you a little bit of encouragement, or who would be so proud that you pushed yourself in this kind of way. And man, it lit a big fire in me. I was like, holy cow, I found my people. I found the thing. And I think maybe since then I've only done like 1 or 2 backpacking trips. It ruined a lot of other sports for me.
So you just really jumped right into the ultra scene. You didn't even do like the 5K, the 10K, the half, the marathon. You just went from your guiding into that. So how did you prepare for even being a guide? And then how did it transition into the ultra running?
See, how do you so the way you prepare to guide is by doing a lot of it. And so there's there's certainly a physical component, so you want to be in decent physical shape, but you get that by putting in the reps and by having a lot of days on the trail and a lot of nights under the stars. And
so you were still used to being on your feet, carrying like a heavy pack. Like you had that endurance.
Yes. Well, so I had that endurance. And the other thing on the guiding stuff was at that season of our life, we didn't have kids. And my now wife and I, we were working at this Boys and Girls Club that served this under-resourced population. I love these kids. And about that time I had found guiding, and I can remember thinking like, man, wouldn't it be cool if there was an outdoor program that was specifically for higher risk youth? And there's a field called wilderness therapy that's specifically for this, and it works with adolescents and young adults who have substance abuse or behavioral issues. And not knowing any better, I'm like, yeah, what could go wrong? And so, oftentimes the trips always ended wonderfully. I mean, I'll reflect back very positively, but a lot of times we had kids who were there that did not want to be there, that had a whole range of issues. And so there's also a little bit of the perspective part is an ultra. Well, one, I didn't have a heavy pack on. 2, I knew it was going to end and likely with a beer at the finish line. And 3, there weren't really angry kids that didn't want to be there. So it was kind of ultimately a really good thing. But it definitely planted the seeds for like a lot of the trail and ultra events that I would do later on in
life. Good.
So my rock star of a co-host, Erica, I mentioned the Virginia Creeper Trail. That was her first 100. And with about 2 miles to go, someone said to her, when are you going to sign up for the next? And she goes, never. I'm never doing this again. And she signed up about 2 weeks later for the next. How quickly did you turn around and sign up again?
So at that season of my life, I had essentially very little other responsibility. And so once I got done with this, the endorphins had not left my body before I started trying to find like the next really hard challenge. But this past, not this weekend, but the weekend before, I did my very first rucking event. And so it's another challenge. The pack was kind of coming back to life, and it kicked my butt so painfully, and it smashed my ego so remarkably in a way I didn't even know. And so we started at 6 p.m. on Saturday. We finished at 8 a.m. on Sunday, and I didn't hang around.
Overnighter.
Yeah, I just wanted to be done. I just wanted to be done, and I thought, there's no way I'll ever do this. This just smashed me, and by Tuesday, I was already looking for the next one because it was like I found like this spiritual gear I did not know I had. When you're combining really hard endurance stuff with some other strength things, and there's a little bit of a team element. So I've, Erica, just like you, I've absolutely had those moments where I thought, all right, there's no way I'm going to do this again. And then sure enough, like just by the time the blisters, you when you don't remember them quite as much, and maybe having that selective memory of you remember the really good stuff.
Exactly.
And you look at some of the hard moments with rose-colored glasses on, you're like, oh, that was really hard, but I learned a lot, or it didn't kill me. But yeah, that first one, it was within within days, I was looking for the next challenge.
That's always a good sign.
Yeah.
If it didn't kill you, it made you stronger,
right.
and it made you want some more.
That's right.
All right, Patton.
Yeah.
So out of all of the ultras you've done to date, is there one that has left a lasting impact on you, in a good way or a bad way? We love the stories. We love the details. We like to say spare no detail.
You could include your guiding stories here too. Like these could count. I would totally count
we
those.
Want to fish them out of you. The good stories.
Maybe I could do I could combine a couple that all I think ultimately translated to a number of things. So right in the middle of when I was really into ultras, that was right at like peak Xterra time, and so I don't know if they have them as much anymore, but it's an off-road triathlon. And so
I remember
I think that same
they even made a car after it, the Nissan Xterra, and I wanted one so
I was
bad.
thinking the car because my college roommate had one for a long time. So when you say that, that's the first thing that popped into my
I thought it was the coolest car for the longest time, and then I look at them now and I'm like, oh, I'm glad I didn't buy one.
Yeah, well, that is really funny because with Erica, you being from Nashua, all I can think about is The Office, and now that you're talking about the Xterra, I'm trying so hard not to make any random conversations. But I do this I do this off-road triathlon, and against these same work buddies that wrote me into it. I have no idea what I'm doing, and what I do know is it's supposed to be really hard. And so I think, a really great way, like when I'm tired, I will have coffee. So in my water bottles at transition, I made a bunch of espresso, and it put those in there. And the opening part of the triathlon went great, and then it's a mountain biking section that was really technical and really tough.
Wow.
And by the time I got to the end of it, I was so spent, and I was new to clipless pedals on, and I can remember going around this rock, and just the wheels literally fell off, and I turtled over. So I've got the bike on top of me, and all I can feel is this hot liquid on my back, because rather than like a good bottle, like I just put it in this plastic container, and it totally it totally smashed it. But the next year, when I went and did the race for the second time, I took those lessons. Like, while I may not be very bright, I'm really good at learning. And so I took all those lessons, and being underprepared in the places where I could prepare a little bit better, and went on to go do really good the next year. And luckily had hydration and that kind of stuff dialed. My first 100K, again, I feel like there's a lot of ego lessons here, and I had a great first 30 miles. And there's a kind of the godfather of ultra running on the East Coast, this guy named David Horton, who he's had a great trail and ultra series in the Lynchburg area for decades. He had the fastest time on the AT for a long time, and this remarkable guy. So he had this 100K, and I was feeling really good about myself through about 31 or 32 miles. And at 35, the wheels came off so remarkably fast and quickly, and with such great force that at 42 miles, I just hated running, and I was just ready to be done. And so the only event I've ever dropped out of was this 100K.
Yeah.
And it ended up being really impactful because I thought, God, I just can't believe I couldn't go to the well. Upon reflection, a couple of days later when the soreness wears off, you think. And then fast forward like 3 or 4 years after that, I ran in the 100K U.S. champs, and where you got flyers coming in from all over. That was in Bandera, Texas, the Bandera 100K, and did great at that event. Like at that point, I'd had a lot of ultras under my belt. I took the training for it and preparation a lot more seriously, and finishing that 100K. I remember reflecting on like, man, I can remember when I couldn't do this, and I had pulled out of other events, and not only was I doing 100K, but was running a very competitive one, and those kind of things I think for me really stick out. Of all right, what were the really crummy dark moments when you either wanted to hit the eject button, or you did, or you got punched in the face, or you didn't think it could get any worse, and then did you come back from it? Did you take those things as learning opportunities to come back and do something better?
I love that. Good. Excellent answers. I'm so intrigued about those Xterras, though, not to just go back to it, but I had never heard of those before. I'm not the triathlon one. That's Eric right there. But so what are we talking for? Like, where do you swim in these like events? How long is the bike? Where, like, is it a hilly mountain run too? Is it like, I'm so intrigued by that.
Brutal. So
it sounds brutal.
The Xterra ones are typically like an Olympic, around an Olympic distance, but a lot of it depends on where they're at. I've got one half iron off-road triathlon, and so typically those will be in like a lake or a river. And then the running and mountain biking components, those will all be on trails.
Oh, that's harsh.
Brutal.
Oh my God.
Where do you do that race?
So the ones were so the city of Richmond has got this amazing network of trails that's in the city. I think it's the biggest city in the country that has a constant class 3 or 4 rapid inside of town. So they built this wonderful network of trails. That's where the Xterras were. And then the off-road tries, they were at this place called Douthat State Park. So out in the Blue Ridge, beautiful state park that's out there, but nothing flat to that place. Absolutely a barn burner of the mountain bike was really hard. That was a grind. But you also have like the benefit of the really long climbs. You've got some really nice descents after that. But the run was a half, so a 13-mile trail run, and it was straight up and straight down. Just a absolute. That was really hard.
Sounds gnarly.
Sounds awesome. Like I would totally be into that. Like pre-kids, I'm totally into it now. And I will be into it again one day. Right now, it's just road maybe for a little while. Not road, but like pavement, rail trails, local stuff, half marathons. I'll get back into that big distance one day.
You bet.
You know, I love, you know what I love about you is that you do all these different kind of races. You're doing, or just outdoor activities, the guiding, the Xterra races, the ultra marathons. You also like had this business dream, and it kind of got laughed at, or I don't know if that's the right word, but it kind of got like just no. And you kept it on the back burner, and you're like, I'm not going to forget about this because I believe it will work. Tell us about Relay Goods. Give us the entire story from like day one when you thought of it, how it went on the back burner, and where you are today.
You bet. So I had, when I got done guiding, I was never going to be like a traditional office environment. I would not last in those areas. And the handful of times that I tried, it was always a disaster. And so if you are like in being newly married, guiding when you're gone for weeks at a time was not real conducive to like, being a good hubby. And so, but working in an outdoor store or, those kind of things that ended up being great. And I had worked at this climbing gym that had a big outdoor store. And it turns out like I loved the retail side of it. And as I got more into ultras and the trail stuff, kind of away from the guiding things, there was a couple of running stores and triathlon shops in Richmond, and I loved them. And so when we had lived out east, and then when we went back to the Dallas area, there was my high school running store. I was like, oh, I totally get this, and I went to work for those guys, this wonderful family down there, and I worked for them for a long time. I led their training programs. We opened new stores, but with a 5 or 6 store operation, there's a certain limits to how high you can go in the organization. And so I brought them a plan to start an e-commerce business for them. And this was really early on in kind of e-commerce days. And it just wasn't one on their roadmap at the time, wasn't something that they wanted to do. And I thought, well, how hard could this be? And that is also, this coincides also right with the minimalist movement is at its height. And I loved it. That was the idea that people were talking about running technique in the same way that they talk about swimming and biking technique was this very natural thing for me. And I felt like when I worked with customers, I'd never say, well, here's one way to run, or you need to run without shoes. But the idea that you could introduce technique so that somebody could feel like they were in greater control over their run. And there was a couple of best practices that were very low risk, very high reward that people could practice. That the ethos of that just felt really good. And so I had started an e-commerce running store that was really aligned with that. And so at the time we had a teaching component, and so I was teaching classes, running technique classes all over the country. And then we had an e-commerce business where you got done with the class and we could sell you shoes, and everything was very, very lightweight, very thin, really complementary to what we were doing. Turns out I was great at the teaching part, and I was terrible at the e-commerce part. And because I kept thinking, well, what we'll do is the magic of the in-store experience, we're going to bring that online. And we did thank you cards. We had built this video recommendation system. There were some parts of it that ended up being really good, but the sum of it wasn't great. And what the consumer wants when they leave their house, they drive to a store, they go in the parking lot, they park their car. Like, there's a lot of energy and effort that goes to getting that in-person experience. And e-commerce, the value proposition is just different. And a lot of times people they're not trying to shop for a pair of shoes or be fit. They're looking for something specific. And then the big differentiator, because you can compare a lot of stores, is who has the best price on this and who can ship it the fastest. And at one point, whenever the outline for the on the runs came up of like, oh, what was that really that really hard moment? I'm a couple years into this, it's not going well, and I'm just so surprised that my best effort is not resulting in success. That never crossed my mind. The idea that I would try my best and it wouldn't work out never was on the radar. And so we go to an expo. We are really tight on money. I need a big win at this expo. And so I'm thinking I can go do a dog and pony show, and I'm going to charisma this thing up, and we're going to sell a bunch of shoes. And we didn't sell anything at this expo.
Oh.
And so I'm coming home. I'm really stressed. I'm well past burned out. And so I go to this drugstore that's got like a nurse there, like a CVS or something like that. And like, hey, could you check my heart rate and stuff? Like, something just feels a little off. And so they take me in this little back room. This very nice woman puts the arm around me so she can check my blood pressure. And she's making small talk like, oh, what do you do? And I'm just so despondent at this point that I'm like, well, I'll never see this woman again. And so I'm like, I run this online running store business that I think I totally misjudged. And I think I'm wildly underqualified to do this. I'm a nice guy and I know a lot about running, but like digital ads and inventory management, it turns out I am not very good at that. And she's like, well, how's it going? And I say it's really hard. It's not going very good. And I'm just not sure. I'm not sure. And I have no idea why I'm being so honest or vulnerable. And then it's quiet for a couple moments. And she kind of out of the corner of her mouth under her breath goes, oh, maybe it's not working. And she says it and I can feel these big old alligator tears. And she looks at me, she goes, oh, honey, I mean the machine, not your business. But it was like this really pivotal moment of like, it wasn't working. And my skill set at that time wasn't going to make it work. And within a couple days, we started on, what are we going to do next? And if it turns out that all the extra special touches that we had, if customers didn't love that, well, then let's get this stuff priced as aggressively as we can in front of as many people as we can. And let's clear the inventory and figure out what we're going to do next. And we had written an API that connected our e-commerce store to an eBay store to an Amazon store, which we were totally not allowed to do. But desperate times call for desperate measures. And amazingly, that worked better than anything we had ever done before. It's
no way.
And it worked for a lot of reasons. But as a couple of weeks go by, we've got our head a little bit above water. And I'm lamenting with a buddy of mine who owned a running store here in town of the internet, and can you believe customers return stuff and this and that. And I tell him what we're working on, and he says, "Hey, well, if you're getting good at getting rid of stuff, I've got a bunch of things left over from the Richmond Marathon that are sitting, right by our staff bathroom. If you want to take a crack at those." And I go to get this shipment, and at this point we have less than no money is. And it's the most random, like, I don't want to use the word crap, but in lieu of a better phrase, it's not very. I know enough about running stuff. Stuff.
Yeah,
stuff with a capital S.
Yeah.
And but we take these items, we run it through our system, and amazingly, we move through this. And when I go to bring the guy his check, he doesn't ask how we do it, and he doesn't really care. And so I'm like, well, I know enough about the running industry. Like, everybody's got a little bit of stuff that's in their stores, because every year a new version of the same thing comes out. And so retailers bear the burden of, when a model is right at the end of its season, you don't want to order too much because you've got the new one coming out, and typically pricing restrictions have been removed. And so you get in this little bit of a gray area. You want to have enough that you don't miss any sales, but you don't want to order too much, knowing that you're going to really lean into the full price things when the new version of that comes out. And so I just called one buddy after another, and it turns out everybody had the same problem. And kind of version 2.0 of that was we were helping retailers to turn their excess and surplus inventory. We were really trying to help turn that into cash so that they could grow their businesses. Nobody we ever worked with was like, well, I've got 200 units and I'm going to get cash for that and go on a vacation. It was like, hey, now this frees up some cash so that we can hire more staff, that we can order more inventory. Like, it was this really great way to activate the capital that was stuck in older inventory and to be able to use it to grow their business. And we could do it in a really clean and easy way. And then before we knew it, we had hundreds of stores across the country that were clients, and many of whom are still clients and friends today. And at about that time, the brands were trying to decide what were they going to do on Amazon. And what most of them decided was they were going to take their top, like, 1% of all specialty retailers, and they were going to give them permissions to open stores on Amazon and to sell those. And if you're a retailer, making money when the doors are closed is a really compelling value proposition. We had enough experience on Amazon that some of those kind of liquidation and excess clients, they had contacted us and said, hey, we've got permissions. Could you help us build a business here? And We did a little bit of fudging. We knew enough to be dangerous, and at least we were nice people who'd had an exchange of commerce, and we knew more than they did. That was kind of the qualifications. And so early on, we helped to build those businesses. We got some really early great home runs, and so called this 2018, 2017, somewhere around there. And so while we're high-fiving, we're like, holy cow, we've got this liquidation business. We got this Amazon consulting business. This is great. And as the consulting business grew, the amount of returns started kind of piling up. And so we would, like everybody who works in a running store, and if anybody says that they don't do this, they're lying, is if a customer makes a return, like, oh, I didn't like this size, but it was in your size and you could stand the color, it's a utilitarian item. You're going to get like, I'm going to beat the crap out of this. We got a credit for it from the brand. And so they just didn't like the color. Boom. New shoes for Gleason, or new to me.
Yes.
Yep.
So we would take some, we would give a lot away. We'd give them to our kids, staff. But then after like the second and third pallet arrived, and then when the fourth and the fifth ones arrived, it then just became a space issue that we were unprepared for, because our consulting business, the volume was getting to be enough where returns were really becoming a problem. So we called the brands and said, what do you want us to do with this? We're just running out of space. And they said, you can do whatever you want, just don't send it here. And we had this hypothesis of, well, if it's good enough for us to take and we're going to run and train in it, and shoes are getting to be really expensive.
Oh God, yeah.
People will like this, because there's not. And our big challenge was they weren't used, but they weren't new. Like there was this space between new and used. And so we put together a website and this really slick presentation for the brands. We're like, hey, well, we've got something we think you're really going to like. This is going to solve a lot of problems, and it's going to make really high quality product accessible to a wider audience of people. And we think that rather than losing these customers to eBay or Poshmark, you can now have like a kind of a brand directed solution for it. And when we proposed it, so you use the word laughed off of calls, that is 100% accurate, because the brands had this very binary way of thinking of it's either new or it's used. And people do not want used shoes, and that's gross. And I think what they were thinking was people made returns after they put 100 miles on it and they didn't like it. And there was just this disconnect between what was getting returned and what was its condition. And so we kept this thing on the back burner, still actively kind of working to grow our other businesses. And then when the pandemic hit, it really had a big impact on the supply chains in Southeast Asia. And so, most consumers maybe felt a little bit of discomfort, or they couldn't get something or whatever it was. But if you're a running shoe manufacturer, almost overnight, 90% of what you had ordered to be made was no longer going to be produced. And so there was a huge shortage of inventory, and much of the unsold inventory that was still in the US was sitting on pallets in warehouses that had been returned. And so all of a sudden, like this little party trick that we had in the background, we're like, people contacted us like, hey, remember this thing that you were talking about? And is this something you want to try to get going again? And just by like dumb luck, we had this, we had a solution that only because of the circumstance did it open up the door. And we dusted off the old site. We had built this quality assurance process, because we knew, like I wasn't going to get some pair of shoes that had 100 miles on it, but something that came back without the original packaging that, me at that point, after like 15 years, I had enough industry knowledge. Like I knew what the condition of something was and how many miles I could get out of it. And so we called it like essentially, like for a long time, it's just a Patton test of, would I run in this? And I've got a really discernible taste.
Okay.
I don't want anything stinky. I don't want anything really used, but like I'll get a great deal wherever I can. I won't make a compromise on quality, but I will make a concession on condition if it comes from a trusted source, and if I feel like the rigors of quality assurance and a commitment to the best product possible given the conditions, that that we would want it. And from the second we turned it on, we kind of found this really underserved demographic, but also now this really great outlet for all of this product. And so on Amazon, 19% of all running shoes sold on Amazon get returned. Half of those go back to like FBA and they're resold there, but the other half end up going back to the original seller. And so that's 10% of everything that you order you have to eat if you don't have a good solution for it. And those numbers are pretty similar on other like direct to consumer businesses. And so there is so much of this inventory, but there hadn't been a very good way to service this inventory. And there was problems to be able to solve for the brands, because this is just a balance sheet buster, because every loss created by a return is paid for by your top line revenue. And as running shoes got to be more expensive, you were starting to price people out of it. And so, Eric, like we've got multiple kids, and I'm still trying to run and stay fit, but for a family of 6, outfitting everybody 3 times a year with a brand new pair of shoes is just not on the radar. Now we still got to.
I get every mile out of my shoes, by the way, like every mile.
You bet. Yeah.
Like, the bottom of my shoe fell off. It's time.
And that it's so funny you said it, because that ended up kind of becoming the ethos of. Is there some way that we could we could make the tools to become healthier and more physically fit? Can we make those more accessible? But could we also, in the bigger picture, could we help people's dollar go further? Like stuff is really hard and things are really expensive. Could we help people make their money go further with this unique and alternative solution and channel for this kind of inventory? It's not a fit for everybody. There's still the vast majority of people, it's 100% new. That's all that they want. When most people go to a running store, what they don't realize is usually like 5 people have tried on that same pair of shoes before you walk down with it. But in particular, as e-commerce has gotten to be, whether it's direct to consumer or Amazon, that the cat's out of the bag. That as a sales channel is only going to grow. But what we find is when the showroom moves from a retail location into somebody's living room, all the expertise that a brick and mortar store and a really great shoe fitter has or a staff has, you lose a lot of that. And models fit differently, and a 10.5 and 1 might actually fit closer to an 11 and another one. And one model 1 year might fit more generously in the toe box. And then the next year, in order to make it more stable, they put an additional seam that ends up making it a little bit more narrow. And if you're a consumer, you're just doing a lot of guesswork. And a lot of times those guesses do not result in keeping of that product. So then it just opens up this huge, huge challenge of what do we do with all this? What do we do with all this excess product that is also aligned with the values and ethos of the industry and the people we're serving, and then of the brands and what they're working on?
I'm looking at your website right now. It's a beautiful website. So I quickly went in there and I went men, and I shopping my size. You have my brand.
He's doing online shopping.
I'm online shopping right now.
Let's go.
Dude, the deals are insane. My Saucony shoes I'm wearing right now on my feet, they're $160 brand new shoe. And I found it in my size. The color ain't that bad. I like it. $75 off. Of its full price. 99% new, 100% guaranteed. So I looked at your website. I was all over it, right? You got this great, at the very top, there's this one, you click on how it works. Yeah. And you have this whole, it spells it out for you. And I'm just going to do it in my quick, paraphrasing here. You buy it in bulk, and you buy all these shoes in bulk that were returned, and you're saving them from throwing them away in the trash.
That's right.
And
you're helping with the inventory problem. So that's good.
Yeah. And then you're inspecting them. You're finding the ones that stand out. That's the whole 99% of life of the shoe that's left. Okay. It's not brand new. It's not still in the original packaging. Someone opened it. Nah, not for me. And then they sent it back. You get it. You get them squeaky clean, as it says here. And you're like, you repolish or everything, make sure they look brand new. You deliver them fast, and then take a trail run. I Love it. You have all the brands I run on. I only run on Saucony New Balances, but I am thinking about trying Hoka's, and you have those Adidas, Ultra, Asics, Brooks. I can't pronounce it, but Mizuno. You have On Running, Reebok, Saucony, Skechers, and Nike.
Those are all the big ones.
How do I pronounce the one I couldn't pronounce?
It's it's Mizuno, and in your example of Hoka is actually really interesting. There end up being people that they've got their core models, like I run the same model every year or something very, very similar to it. But then you're kind of brand and model curious, but you don't want to make a mistake on something, and you're like, oh my God, I'm out.
You don't want to spend $150 on a brand new pair of shoes, wear it 4 times, and I'll be completely honest, I'm not the guy who returns that. I'll just wear it as a walking shoe then.
Same here.
I've just wasted $150 where I could try these $200 Hokas and get them for $130, or there you got other ones here that are under $100. So,
and we do have people that go, okay, I'm interested in this brand, and particularly some of the ones that are more emerging, On and Hoka. But if you've always worn Saucony and they've made such great, consistent shoes for so long, the biggest challenge for a customer is not, does it look cool? It's what if I get it and I don't like it? And then there's like this hassle factor. And we have a ton of people that go, I'm interested in this. This is a great way to test, do I like it? And then, particularly for more performance-oriented people and people who are really racing and really competitive, they'll use this as a way to like test the brand. And then if they like it, they may go into a store and get it, or get a full price one somewhere else. And that, it is ultimately for us, it is really great and is of service to the brands, because if you don't have a marketplace for this, and certainly like a level of expertise and quality assurance that goes into it, it's, waste happens in a lot of ways. And I think what we've done as an industry is we kind of normalized it. Like, oh yeah, there's a bunch of shoes that, they have light use or no use on it, but they got off, they got off track, but getting them back on track is just too hard because there's not really great way, not a really great way to do it. And as silly as it sounds, like we've always thought like there just has to be a better way to do it. Footwear gets really tricky because you are technically selling things that are next to skin. And so your commitment to the quality assurance part, that's got to be rigid. So we've got impossibly high standards for our quality assurance. So the buy in bulk part, the next step to that is there's a filtering process. And so the brands are making a lot of models. Some of them are home runs and they're really good and consistent. And some of them just didn't land with consumers and customers. And we're really interested in what do people love? Let's really focus our energy and efforts on those. And then once we filter through those models based on age and condition, then we're taking the best of the best. And that's when the quality assurance for us really gets started. And I think on the front of the website, there's I've not done too many deep dives into the dark world of Reddit, but apparently there's a Reddit thread because people say, hey, this is almost too good to be true. Is this legit? And the woman's quote was, it's legit AF, and it passes the smell test, and that she reported sticking her face in the shoe. And that's great. That should be the test. Like, is this
the nose test?
Would you? Yeah. Does it literally pass the smell? Does it pass the sniff test? And like that's how good it has to be.
That's awesome.
That is. Gotta love Reddit. Oh my God.
I volunteer Erica to be your
like a brand new
tester.
Shoe.
You bet. Come on.
Let me do it right now because my nose isn't working so good, so everything's gonna pass.
We have an opening for an olfactory engineer coming up. So this would be great.
Yep, it would go great on your resume, Erica, with your Only Feet page too.
That's right.
Oh, good God.
That's funny.
A question about okay, I'm looking at a pair of Sauconys right now, $140. Now they're $69.99. Are they the only ones? Well, I just clicked on it. It says only one left. So every time I'm looking at a shoe, is it pretty much the only one because Like you're not going to have the same one of the same color returned 50 times.
So that was the other giant challenge to solve. So when you open up a traditional retail business, whether an independent running store or like an e-commerce store, you'll go to the brand's website, you place a wholesale order, and then you can get 10 size 10s because you know that that's a popular size. You're going to get it in a couple of key colors, and you can build your catalog around how you can serve your customers best. On a daily basis, we have no idea what's coming in. And so when we're adding new inventory on a daily, that goes up on a daily basis, but rather than getting 10 size 10s and we can place these orders, we have to be resourceful, and we get what we get. And so we filter through the very best of those things. Now, what does end up happening is the most popular models and the most popular sizes and colors do end up, we see a higher frequency of returns from those, but we don't wait till we have 10 of them and then we list it. We're actively trying to get the most current and newest inventory up as quick as we possibly can.
I think I was on the Instagram page earlier for Relay Goods, and I saw that you guys do like special posts about the drops with the really hot shoes that are going to go fast. So tell us more about that, how you guys at least get people to know what's up.
Yeah, so one of the big of all the challenges in this space, the other one was there's been a number of people who tried to I want to say like play in like the discount and liquidation space. But what they would do is they would buy like a run, whatever the brands had left over, they would buy it, they deeply discount it. But if you're somebody like me and you see there's a Patagonia jacket and it's 40% off, like this is fantastic. And then you go on there and it's only double extra large and extra small. And you're like, what are we doing here? And so purely for ease of the consumer, we got rid of all that and we made individual models in the individual size their own pages, so there would never be any confusion of, all right, if you're looking for, all right, what do you have in a men's size 10 from this brand, and you can go and sort and filter so that you can see it's essentially like this customized kind of catalog. And then what ended up happening was customers said, okay, we love this. Can you let me know the next time you get a Brooks Ghost 14 men's 10-2E, the next time you get it, let me know. That's what I'm looking for. And so we put together this now, like it's our most consistent email called the weekly drop. So every week, the newest and most current things that we've listed, we make an email that's specifically curated for those things. So it goes out every time. Before we do any other advertising, that's the first time in which it's we notify customers. And so for people who are like, okay, this as a concept, this sounds great, I'd love to give it a shot, but you didn't have exactly what I was looking for. This is a really great way to, rather than having to compromise on, I really wanted this shoe, but I didn't like this color. At some point, it's likely going to come in. And then the best way to be the first to know about it is on that weekly drop email.
Excellent. I love that.
You got the weekly drop link here on your website, but you're saying it's also like an email you can sign up for and you'll get it all the time.
That's right.
That is awesome. I'm looking at this now, like you got my shoes here and I love the prices and I don't get to go to the store often at all.
Yes.
I like have to find a babysitter or drag my daughter with me. And this is amazing because I do buy 2 to 3 pairs at a time. So I get all the miles out of them, but I alternate, right? So I might get a full year out of 3 pairs of shoes and I buy them all at once. But this is awesome. Like this website's sweet. I don't care that they're not in the plastic packaging. I love it already. This is awesome.
Well, and as time has gone on, we've learned a lot about these customers, and for lack of a better term, we're kind of data wonks of like, all right, what's working? What do people like? What do people respond to? Where are the pain points? And early on, what we found was anytime that somebody would reach out and say, hey, I'm trying to get started running, is there a pair that you can recommend? It ended up being that those people ended up having the highest return rates. And so it just makes for a terrible customer experience. And so what we started doing was we started getting the zip code from those people, and we've got a database of all the independent running stores in the country. And then we would find the one that was closest to them and say, hey, if you're getting started, the best value for you is actually go to an expert, try on a ton of things, ask a lot of questions, and get your first, couple pairs in a running store, because you may pay a little bit more, but I think that, this is where the value part of this is somebody in your neighborhood who can tell you, all right, hey, it's going to feel different at mile 10 than it does at 20. Give it a while to break in. And I know you got measured your foot 10 years ago, but your foot size and your running shoe size need to be different. There's a level of expertise that happens inside of a running store that you can't get. What we ended up finding was those people who had started their running, kind of their buying journeys in store, at some point you kind of graduate from that high touch. Like, okay, every time I go in, I get the exact same thing. And at some point, those customers were leveraging their knowledge and experience to get a great deal on something that they knew that they were going to get. And as an industry, we were just losing a lot of people to eBay and to Poshmark and to those kinds of things. And it made for a bad brain experience. And at least for me, like if I ever order something off of eBay, I think there's a 30% chance I'm going to get hosed. It might not be authentic. It's going to be a drop shipper. Like there's some wonkiness that's going to come from it. And so, our idea was, rather than losing touch with those customers who just didn't need that super, super high touch experience, what if we had something for them in that ethos of, let's meet the customer where they're at. And so if somebody doesn't need all the high touches and they are not necessarily shopping for something, they are looking for something very specific, well, let's have some solutions for it. Let's provide a responsible alternative to try to not lose that demographic inside the running industry.
That's awesome.
I love that.
Let me ask you this.
Hey,
I'll use a random number, 100. Out of every 100 pairs of shoes that come to you,
yes,
how many do you turn down? And then what happens to that shoe when you decide it's not 99%? This is like a 92%er.
See, I like this. I was going to comment on it, but I'd rather hear it from you.
This is a great question. So we, maybe inside of that process, the thing that we speak to a little bit, but we don't lean into enough is we only source from the brands and then from a handful of the biggest authorized dealers. And that's it. So we're not like scouring the internet or like, where's some international shipper that happened to have it. It is, we take the sourcing part of this and those brand relationships really, really seriously. And we like to think of those much more so as partnerships. So when 100 shoes come in, we've got 4 different categories where they may go to. Typically somewhere around 15% of those, they are new models. The packaging is perfect. The shoe is perfect. And we will redirect those back to traditional retail channels. And we might send it to a store on their behalf. We may send it back to a fulfillment center so that they can get it back in the chain. Like these things, they're great. They're not 99% new. They're 100% new. And we have our filtering system is called a highest value, best use. What is the highest value and best use of this item? And if something is 100% new and it's a new model, deeply discounting it to try to move it it's not the best use of it, because every time we do that, manufacturers have to make more of something to replace it. So can we try to keep some more stuff back in traditional retail? About 3%, 3 to 5% of everything that comes back, somebody took a lot of advantage of a return policy. And it's been beat to high holy hell. And it doesn't even make like a dignified donation item. And so we have domestic recycling partners where we take all those items and they are disassembled at the recycling plants. And so most everybody uses like a carbonized rubber. Those can be ground down and recycled into other items. Polypropylene is pretty easy to recycle once you've got it disassembled, and then those are broken. That's broken, ground down, and then used to make other things. The tricky part comes with uppers because there's so many different fabrics that are in the uppers. Those are typically ground down, and then they are used for commercial insulation. So even things that have been totally beat up, on our behalf, we've never thrown away a single item. Those things get recycled. about 20 to 25%, they're really good, but they're not quite appropriate to be trained in. They, as a category, we might call them more of a mobility shoe. And we've got a network of vetted nonprofit partners all across the country, and that's everything from men's and women's shelters to.
I think that's the best part. I love that.
It's pretty awesome. And one of the things that we were unaware of. So we're doing some filtering for these things. The things that we were unaware of is when you see footwear donations. Typically, less than 10% of all footwear that's donated by individuals actually makes it to an end user, because it's been most of the time if we make donations, we've beat it up, and runners are gross and sweaty, and it doesn't make a dignified donation. So whether somebody's going to be if walking is their primary mode of transportation, or they're going to apply for a job, doing either of those with a pair of shoes that's got 300 miles on it is not it's just not dignified. And so we've got just a phenomenal network of partners. And so then that leaves about 50 to 55% that would be in that 99% new kind of threshold. So once we've got each of our primary 4 categories sorted, recycled, donate, 99% new in retail, then that's when our filtering process is, okay, as a condition, these are 99% new. What do customers love? Which models are people actively searching for that they really want? And then once we get that, then goes the inspection process of the initial inspection was we thought it was 99% new. We've got it, we like to think almost more of a laboratory. We've got everything from magnifying glasses to super bright LEDs. We have a series of German engineered steam cleaners because as more shoe companies were trying to make their shoes lighter, they weren't putting as much blown carbon on the bottom. And so you'd have like exposed polypropylene. But if you've got white exposed polypropylene, if you just stand in your house and you've got pet hair or anything like that, they get dirty so quickly. Pressurized steam is the best way. If something hadn't been used but had been tried on, to get it back to as close to 99% new as possible. So we've got this very, very rigorous and detailed process that goes there. And then inside of that process, we will have typically somewhere between 5 and 10% that we thought were 99%, but maybe we're 97 or 98. And then those go back into our donated items. So by the time it gets on the site, our standards are so high, we don't have to worry so much about the expectations of the customer. If that makes any sense. We had this really interesting,
absolutely
this philosophical quandary of what's the difference between standards and expectations. And it was actually our shoe techs that had the best insight on it of standards are the things you hold yourself to that you can control. It's a set of guiding principles that you can constantly look to that are really, really high. Expectations are all the things you hope for, but you can't really control because it's going to be something subjective from another person. And we hope our customers expect really great things and to get a really good deal, but we can't control that. What we can control is having impossibly high, absolutely the highest standards in the industry for this category of product, and to really establish that there is a space between new and used, but you gotta really, really work. You gotta really, really work to get there.
You guys have minimized that to like teeny little, like it's basically brand new. You gotta like be pulling teeth to get it to be like
it is. New. It's rigorous. But the stakes here they're actually really, really high. And if we thought about it like from an industry standpoint, there's a number of other brands that have kind of dabbled their toes into it, and some other sellers. And what you'll see on their site is they'll do like a good, better, best system. And this shoe might have signs of debris on it and this kind of stuff. And one of the early lessons we learned was people do not want used shoes. Used shoes are gross. It implies that somebody ran in it and they sweated in it. And that's and so if you're going to sell that, you have to so deeply discount it that it potentially can do harm to your brand. And so what we believe is this almost like an afterthought of a category. What if we did this in like a premium way? So what does premium resale for performance brands what does that look like? And so rather than like, hey, well, here's a race to the bottom, and if we do it 70% off, then at least we don't have to throw them away. What if we were to almost have like a diamond level of like quality assurance? And what if we were to put those same rigors to this? And rather than as an afterthought of a category, what if we were to really honor the brands and the customers who are wanting to participate in this?
As a consumer, I mean, I am so glad that you guys are putting that much like thought and detail into what you're doing, because it is tough. Like, yeah, I want a brand new pair of shoes. I want to be the one to put all the miles on it. But if I can get something, like if I feel like I'm getting a great deal and it's like a barely used shoe, like I'll be like, all right, I'm listening. And if I just know what goes behind it, like you guys have those standards, like nothing gets through if it's not your 99%. I am in for this. This is like a great thing, especially knowing what you guys do with the shoes that aren't the 99%.
You bet.
I'll tell you this, the next pair of shoes I'm buying is probably from your website.
He's already like, where's my credit card?
Yeah, well, I don't even need my credit card. It's like locked into my computer. I know the 3-digit CVV code. I want to ask this: how do you get the word out besides coming on the On the Runs podcast, which is the best way to do it? How do you get the word out? Social media, marketing, advertising. What do you do?
So, in the big learning lessons, that was the other one. And so, as I kind of mentioned earlier, there's other brands and people that had dabbled in this space, and what we have seen and what our experience has been. This is a separate business unit that you have to treat like a business. And so there's marketing dollars and customer acquisition costs you have to commit to, particularly being online. The days of, hey, well, we can kind of SEO our way into doing this, or we'll have some viral moment. Those days are long gone. Everything for a business is typically pay to play. And so, 10 years ago, if you were on Facebook, and people liked your page, everybody who liked your page, every time you posted, heard about it. And now, if you want to reach all of your audience, you got to pay to reach all of your audience. What we did is we've taken a much more, rather than a blanketed approach, a much more targeted approach to the selling of these. So digital advertising is really, really important for us. But along those lines, in terms of like Google and Facebook, so has email. And what we've really done is we've leaned more so into the storytelling piece on email. Social is a great place to, what we believe the most valuable thing that social is, it's for trust and communication. It is so noisy on social media, and it's overstimulating, and there's too much in the like, we're really going to dominate selling here. You have to have something so unique, and you've got to be so much louder than everybody else. And that's really, when you're up against cat videos, what are you doing? There's no way. Yeah. And that's a really hard,
especially a video of Scooter's butthole.
You bet.
Erica.
Scooter's my cat. Oh my God, don't.
Okay. Well, we'll have to, I got a lot of questions about this. But
cat videos are great.
Yeah,
I get that you are competing with everybody on social media. So what's going to set you apart? That's going to draw people to.
That's right. And so we leaned a little bit more on the storytelling component. We tell stories of our customers who are doing some really cool stuff. We've got some great nonprofit partners across country. Those are stories worth telling. And then with our brand partners, outside of their work with Relay, people are really, really trying to do things that help them as a company to have a lower impact and to lean into some sustainability initiatives. And that might be through internal programs that they have, new materials that they're doing, and we want to be a champion of that. Those are really big wins, and there's some really great innovations to be there. And as somebody who is somewhere between an egomaniac and a narcissist, the last thing we need to do is talk about how great we are. It's a really great exercise to be storytellers for some of the other really cool stuff that people are doing. And email's been great for us, and what a privilege to have space inside of somebody's inbox, and it really makes us responsible to, if we're gonna have some space inside your inbox, we got to put out things that you really care about. And if it's, hey, there's a sale here and a sale here, and it's discount, people become numb to that. And so having really cool and really compelling stories, those are things that have been really fun for us. The nonprofit thing ended up opening up some other doors. One of the challenges we heard from our brand partners was they're very good at big donations. So 5,000 units, 10,000 units, but those grassroots level donation, that's actually really hard for them. They don't have quite the people or the bandwidth. We kind of accidentally had this network of it. And so we in addition to those kind of mobility ones, we do set aside a certain percent of those 99% new or brand new, but excess product from the brands. And then we filter that out through a network of youth running programs across the country. And so that came up because I have my sister-in-law. She was teaching at an under-resourced school in the Dallas area, and she was fresh out of college, and they just gave her track and cross country, and she was so excited when she got her 10th kid to come out for cross country. And so when I was like, oh, well, what do we got to do to get to 20? She says, well, I could get to 20 tomorrow, but a lot of these kids, it's not in the family's budget to get a pair of school shoes and a pair of training shoes and a pair of track spikes. I was like, this is solvable. This is a solvable problem. And when we shared that part of our mission and kind of where we had some reach, our brand partners they made a lot more product accessible to us. And a lot of this was really specifically allocated for this. And I think last year we'd sponsored 5,000 kids, and I think we'll probably be up around 10,000 kids. Somewhere up around 10,000 kids this year, and this one's all over the country, and
that's amazing.
And that part's been really, really cool. We were up in the Bronx a couple weeks ago with a partnership that we had with Hoka, and we outfitted 2 schools for their spring track season out there. But yeah,
that's so cool.
There's a lot of good that can come out of this product, and what was potentially a really painful supply chain problem, there's a lot of good that can be done with it. It takes a lot of work, but that work is worth it. And what we do believe is that I believe that if you're a kid and you're going to school and you're doing the work and showing up to track and cross country, and a lot of these kids also have part-time jobs, there's a level of like hustle and grind that's happening here. A lot of these kids are going to make awesome adults. And when they do, at some point, they're going to have expendable income. And we want these kids to have like running in their bones. So when they become adults, they're going to make great customers.
There you go. Yeah, you guys are providing the resource that's going to plant the seed, and they're going to get the running bug. They're going to love it like we do. And
I'm not so naive to think that like a free pair of track spikes solves all the injustices of the world. I'm pretty
definitely not, but it's a small step in the right direction.
It's a step in the right direction. And what we do know is that having a really healthy peer group, and then to have a really strong adult consistent presence that's going to train and push you, those are really, really healthy things that, if anything, we need way more of that. And so, inside, like the really big heroes of all this are like the kids are awesome, but it's the coaches they're the ones who are going above and beyond. And what we really want to do is, how do we just make it easier for them? Can we, you're the ones doing the hard work on the front lines, early mornings. And if it means that they can do more great work by having access to just a few more tools or shoes, let's do that. Let's make that. That's an easy thing for us to be able to do. Let's make those things more accessible so those guys can do great work.
Dude, I think this is awesome. I love the nice little storytelling touch you had there. It's awesome. Great job. I have to tell you the cat story though before we get to the end of the podcast.
I'm dying to hear this.
We do we're a storytelling podcast. We want everyone to come on and tell us their stories. Every October, we highlight these amazing women who have battled and crushed breast cancer. It's our whole entire breast cancer month. So we have Sherry Todd, who is wonderful, telling us this story, getting into the details of breast cancer and her journey and how running played a role. And all of a sudden, in this like amazing epic story, Erica's cat, Scooter, decides to jump up in front of her computer, turn and face her, and lift her tail. And all we see is asshole. Scooter's butthole.
Hashtag Scooter's Pooter.
Yes.
By Pterodactyl. Sorry.
It's funny. I was wondering why that was trending, but my work phone set up a bunch of. Okay, but I've got some context now.
All right.
Oh my God.
And so you were talking about how everyone had the cat
That's why
videos.
I keep the door shut now, so the cats can't come in here and just show it off.
And so you were talking about how everyone is posting cat videos. I just thought of it because I posted that video. It's like, here's a cat video. Let's see if this blows up and goes viral.
Yeah, that's right. Who wants to hear about 99% new running shoes when there is some, feline erotica that's out there?
Scooter's Pooter. There it is.
How can I compete with that?
Yeah. Well, what you're doing is super cool. I really like it. It was really thrilling to hear the entire story. You understood the assignment when I wrote the email. Spare no details. I don't want to hear that. Oh, I just thought of this cool idea, built a website, and we kicked it off. It's great. Buy my shoes. You told us everything.
That took a lot of hard work. That took years of like planning and people laughing at you. But then now you kind of get to laugh at them right back. Say, hey, my idea's turning out just fine. Look what we did with it.
You stuck with it.
You're helping
you kept
community.
it on that back burner,
and
you stuck with it.
Well, that's it's like the ultra thing has got. There's kind of the roots in it. Like if you go back to that of there's zero chance you're going to sign up for a 100-miler and the whole thing's going to be easy. If that's your expectation, you are going to be wildly disappointed. What you can plan for is there's going to be some really dark moments and it's going to be really hard, but those pass. And sometimes it's a matter of timing and sometimes it's pace, and there's some things that you can control and sometimes you can't. There's a lot of the good fortune we've had has just been in sticking around and kind of having that ultra mindset of like, all right, if we think there's something here and maybe we were just a little bit too early or we're waiting for that right waiting for that right moment to come along. But it's been a big series of pivots and evolutions and butt kickings and blessings.
Yes.
And luck and a lot of luck.
Hard work, determination, sticking to it, believing in yourself. And just having good people, putting good people around you.
You bet. Yes.
All right, man, this is great. We have 2 final big questions, and then we could honestly probably talk for hours and hours about relay and just running in general. You're welcome back anytime, but I want to get to my question here. Yeah. I have one. Erica has one. I'm going to give you the ability to keep this within running or maybe in business or maybe in e-commerce or however you want, but it's called the Code Brown Commandments, and we're building a list. And we want people to give us advice. Now, a code brown is any oh crap moment. And the code brown commandment is maybe how to avoid this oh crap moment. So some are like, thou shalt always be prepared, or diaper rash cream cures chafing. We have some people go like, leave no trace. And then some just were like, brutally honest, don't trust a fart. Be comfortable being uncomfortable. So do you have a code brown commandment to give us? And it's going to go on a list at the end of the year, and we're going to read them all. Thou shall not trust a fart.
Okay, now does it have to be original, or can I have lifted it from somebody else?
You can whatever you want, however you please.
Give us whatever you want.
Okay, great. Then I'll absolutely lift. I'll absolutely lift this one. There is an author named Ryan Holiday who's written a lot on Stoic philosophy. He's kind of got a modern take on Stoic philosophy and these kind of ancient traditions and wisdoms. And one of these things that he kind of brought back into prominence was Marcus Aurelius had written this journal, but it was only for him. It was essentially like a self-help book he was writing himself. It was never supposed to be published, but it ended up getting found. And one of the lines and entries in there is something to the effect of, what stands in the way becomes the way, the obstacle is the way. And how many times you go, oh my gosh, this really hard thing, well, I've got to find a way around this hard thing, and I'm going to go really pivot far to the left, I'm going to pivot really far to the right, and I don't mind doing a lot of easy extra work as long as I don't got to do the really hard, uncertain work. Like, what happens if I do my best effort and it doesn't work out? And every time we had some challenge that we're like, oh, well, how do we deal with this? And well, maybe we should try to do differently. And we got to reposition it this way. It always came back to that the obstacle is the way. Like, the challenge is calling you and it's presenting you. It's going to require an increase in commitment, an increase in effort, perhaps in creativity. But you can't just do more easy work to try to get around it. The obstacle is the way.
I like that.
Thou shalt tackle the damn obstacle.
That is it. Yeah.
Yes.
That's it. The obstacle.
Good way to spin that. I love that, Erica. Good way. Thou shalt tackle the obstacle because the obstacle is the way.
Is the way.
I love it, Patton. That was awesome. Well said.
That is great. So on a final note, my question is a little bit more, well, I don't know. That was pretty fun, but mine is pretty fun too. We have a Spotify playlist and we like to invite our guests to add a song to it. So I'm not sure if you seem one with nature, so you don't seem like you're focusing.
I don't know. I think he's excited.
Oh,
I think he got excited.
Oh my God.
But
go ahead. I love what this is going.
No, I just want you to add something to our playlist, anything that you're digging at the moment, something inspiring, or just anything that's going to bring a smile to your face. Would you like to add a song?
Yes, I would. I would add so my favorite bands is the Avett Brothers. Just love them. And there's a song that they have called Roses and Sacrifice. I think it was from the album that they did with Rick Rubin. It's just this incredibly poetic and loving song that the context is, he's singing to his wife or to his spouse of, they were really, kind of young when they got married, and, maybe what you thought you had hoped for was going to come a little bit sooner, but it was just going to take a little bit longer. And I just love it. And every year when in the Spotify Wrap, I'm always in the top 1% of people who've listened to that song. This years now. Like, I know there's others.
Perfect.
There's such great music to it. But yeah, Roses and Sacrifice. I'd absolutely.
And that 100% deserves a spot on our playlist. And that is your song, uniquely yours. So thank you for that. Very excited to give it a listen.
Patton, this was awesome. I'm going to just give you one more last opportunity to pump the tires for anything. What's next? Relay? Do you have a race coming up we should track you on? Like, we could talk for hours. Like, what's next for Patton and pump the tires for Relay? One more time.
All right. What's next for Patton? So I routinely find, so the music thing is probably a good segue to this. I love discovering new music. We have so many playlists for different seasons of our lives and live music with that I really like. And I have this thing where as soon as something gets popular, I'm like, oh no, I'm not like that. and part of that is, when I had gotten started, ultra was not what it is now, where there's so many races and it's this whole subset of category. And I had this stereotype of, I heard about rucking and obstacle course racing. Like, oh my God, a bunch of nerds with backpacks. Like, every middle school girl is essentially rucking, is what I kind of thought. And I could not have been more wrong. I could not have been more wrong. And it was this really great, it was a great mental challenge. It was a super hard physical challenge. And to participate in a hard endurance event that wasn't necessarily a competition was really, really interesting. So I got a couple ultras penciled in for the summer, but then after getting done with this ruck event, again, when I got done Sunday morning, I'm like, this is so stupid. I'm never doing this again. It all hurt. And then by Tuesday, I was like, well, I wonder if there's actually anything that might be a little longer. So,
Yes.
So I've got I've got a couple of rucking events that I'd like to circle up. There's a men's group that I've trained with here in the Richmond area. They're all over the country called F3, and it's a free men's workout group. Most of the workouts are typically like boot camp style workouts, but then you've got like this built-in group of buddies that you'll find people who want to do ultras or people to do these rucking events, these kind of rucking events with. And when we had lived in Richmond, and I was telling Erica early on, we'd lived in Richmond for a long time, and then about 4 years ago, we moved about an hour outside of town. So this is a really long way too. Like the stuff I'm working on, I've got some ultras, got a couple rucking events, and then the men's group that I'd been training with in Richmond. We're working on trying to get the same thing going out here in our little town, trying to get everybody's butts in shape.
Nice.
On the relay side, we've got some additional brand partnerships that those things are coming up. And then one of the things that we heard was actually a suggestion from customers was somebody had said, "Hey, if you can do this for running shoes, could you do this for like cycling shoes or golf shoes?" And I didn't want to lose our credibility in the running space. And I asked her, I'm like, well, if we got into bike shoes, would that mean that we weren't serious about running? And she's like, well, just because REI has bikes doesn't mean that they don't know anything about hiking shoes. So I was like, oh, that's really interesting. So I think athletic footwear, we're always going to stay focused on that. That's what we do best. That's a really, really big problem to solve. I think what we'll do is we'll look at some adjacent categories and some adjacent brands. So in the running, Eric, like you looked at, we only work with the best brands, and it's typically their best selling models. And so we are gradually dipping our toes into some other adjacent sports. Because what we're finding is we had people who reported in like some consumer data who would run 3 or 4 times a week, but they didn't call themselves a runner. Like, oh, well, I run 3 or 4 times a week, and then I do CrossFit 2 days, and I play pickleball with my mom on Sundays, and then 3 or 4 times a month I go play golf. But I'm not a runner. And so, it turns out that the label and identity of a runner, it kind of comes with a little bit of baggage. And so, can we also just meet the customer where they're at? And if you're participating in some other activities and you really like the value that we're able to deliver, can we look at some other categories to be able to do that? So we've got a couple other categories that we're working on that we'll slowly introduce. And a lot of those we were, rather than, we're going to go find a pickleball shoe or company, we were really just filtering through what did customers want? What did customers want that we didn't have? And then let's try to do something that serves them.
Got some big things coming. I love it.
I'm excited to see you grow, man. Like, you've grown a lot. I'm excited. This is super cool. 1 hour and 40 minutes almost. Like, thank you so much for your time. This is well beyond what we planned. And like, I feel like we could just keep going, man. So we'll do it again one day. If I'm ever in Richmond, I would love to come by and see the place. I travel a little bit for work, so maybe I'll be there in Richmond one day. That would be cool. We'll go running on one of those cool trails you were talking about. Man, this was super cool, super interesting. It's a little different from what we've done in the past, and I'm so happy we did it.
Awesome.
And I want to say, because you called her in the email, and I feel like now this is the second guest we got from her, so I think I can now call her Beachy.
You bet.
Yes, because I feel like we're tight now. She likes us. She's sending us guests. I don't have to be like, hi, Miss Laura. No, Beachy. Beachy, thank you so much for sending us Patton. He was so awesome.
Laura Beachy's become a great friend. So we got connected with them. They run a PR and marketing firm, but she'd been a writer at Runner's World, and then kind of stayed in that space. She's absolutely phenomenal. So not only like really knows the space, but she's genuinely a great person. And I won't spoil some of the adventures she's got planned, but she's got some really cool stuff that she's doing. So yes, connect with
Do
me.
we need to get Laura on?
Yes. Get Laura on, like twist her arm. She's got so many great stories.
She's a runner.
She's incredible.
I didn't know she was a runner. I just thought she was a great PR person.
Oh.
I'll tell you a quick little 2-second story, and then we'll finish up. I was months ahead of time. I planned, okay, episode 100 is going to be right before the Boston Marathon. I want to get someone special, and that special person was Catherine Switzer.
Yes.
So I went around trying to figure out her contact information, and I went to her website, typed some email, and Laura responded and politely declined, and I was heartbroken for a moment. And I sent her response saying, thank you for responding, because it was the first time anyone has ever declined like a written sorry, but no, right? People may have not responded in the past, but at least she did. She wrote me back 6 minutes later after my response, and she says, email me in a couple weeks. Let's see if we can do something. And so I waited a couple weeks. I think it was like 6 weeks, actually. She said, email me the end of February. And I said, we can make it happen. And if not, we'll do it again next year or another time. But I think she knew it was for episode 100, and she knew that was special. And she made it happen. And the biggest compliment ever was when she emailed me a couple days after and says, you need to talk to Patton.
Oh, that's great. Well, that was a great episode. And Catherine's what an amazing story.
Yes. Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Much love for Laura. Thank you, Laura.
Thank you so much, Beachy. And if you're a runner,
Patton.
Laura, come on the pod. We didn't know that. So, Patton, thank you. This was so cool. Like, I think you blew our minds how well this went, and your time, 1 hour and 41 minutes right now. You're the man. You're a rock star. Thank you for doing this.
Yeah,
you delivered, spared no detail. It's perfect.
Yeah. So,
exactly
so before we wrap, like, the big thanks goes to you guys. This is a lot of work. You both have got other obligations, and so your passion for this and your energy to tell stories and to connect with people who might not normally get any kind of platform is really, really awesome. And I think what at least in my listening to episodes, there's a lot of like inspiration for ideas or adventures. I was like, oh man, that's somebody who wasn't like doing the podcast circuit that you heard on 5 other podcasts and the same other stories. And you got to hear these really cool things. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of work for you guys to be able to do in between editing and all the things that go in. So huge compliments to you guys. I wish you nothing but success. And if you are down south, either come by Richmond, let's get in a run, let's meet the Blue Ridge, let's do some adventure.
Patton.
I'm coming back down to Damascus.
Which
September.
In December?
I'm doing the Yeti 100 again, September.
Oh, awesome.
If you want to come pace me, I need a pace.
So I think that so I'm doing Blue Ridge Relay again this year, and I think that it was either the weekend before or after, but the Yeti 100 that was I don't know. Let me know when you get
if you're
closer.
Around.
I may absolutely be interested.
Will do.
Yeah.
Absolutely no pressure. I didn't want to spring that on you, but just making conversation.
All right,
but,
Patton, I'll tell you what.
I'll be down that
I'll tell you what. If you go Patton, I will pull like whatever I have to pull to make it to.
Okay.
You got no strings left, man.
I'm on the thin string, but I got Monday nights, so this is a lot of fun, man. Thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting and saying those super nice things. Thank you for coming on the pod. Everybody, I really hope you enjoyed this. We got some good running stories. We got to hear a lot about Relay Goods. Go check out their website. Everything will be in the show notes. My next purchase is coming from there because deals are just too good to pass
He's already
up.
ready to go.
Thank you for providing this for us, man. You're the best. Patton Gleason on the On the Runs podcast.
Patton, oh my gosh. I think you are so incredible. I love what you're doing with Relay Goods. I love who you are as a person. I just think you're so energetic and just amazing. So yes, I might hit you up on that your offer to pace me, because I would love to just keep chatting with you. That's honestly the background reason.
Do you remember I told him if he goes, I will go too?
Really?
Like,
I forgot about that.
How am I going to pull that off? Now I was editing. I'm like, oh my God.
Well,
did I just commit to this? I'm like, I can't do that. I can't do that.
I was going
If
to say
he goes,
there's
I have to
probably-
be. But if he goes, I have to be a man of my word.
But you do have some outs. He knows you have
Mhm.
kids and you
Mhm.
have responsibilities too. I mean, I won't
Well-
hold it against you.
You made a purchase.
I did. So
Let's
of course
see it.
we were talking about his website and how they get like the shoes are returned and they do that thorough
Inspection process.
Thank you. Couldn't think of the word, but I looked and lo and behold, they have these shoes that I am currently obsessed with. I wear the New Balance Super Comp Elite version 3. They just came out with version 4 and I wear the 3. So I love these things. So
3 for Dale.
Sure. So here we go. He was saying that they ship it in one box, so you reduce some packaging. So this is the shoe box. It's really nice. And I'll show you guys what they look like. It's the exact.
Dun, 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 dun. Drum roll, please.
And they're beautiful. They're brand spanking new, like 100%. Like this is the 99% he was talking about. They're gorgeous shoes,
Wow.
and these were like pretty well discounted, seeing as though they don't make this model anymore.
What was the discount?
So I paid $170 for these. These are a super shoe. These are carbon plated. So
Okay.
these are upwards of, I think their new version goes for $250. And
Okay.
so
Great deal.
Did I pay that?
You got
They might have been-
$70 off.
Yes, but also
No,
if you spend
$80 off.
something like that, but if you spend X amount of dollars, you get an extra 10% off. Like, so the more you spend, the more discounts you get.
Yeah.
And I just can't find these shoes in my size anymore. So I
Now-
found that pair and I jumped on them.
Now, you don't have to make me something for my birthday. You can, I'm
Do
a
you
size 9, 9.5. You can give me those or
Hey man,
UFOs.
if you send me something you want, I'll think about
You
it.
want some feet pics of my foot on a measuring thing?
Hey, if it'll earn money to buy you those shoes, then sure.
So, actually, speaking of that, so I went running last week up. What mountain did I run up?
Pac-Monadnock.
I ran up Pac-Monadnock. I can't say that, but I ran up Pac-Monadnock, right?
Mhm.
And I wore different shoes than I was when I went up on Canoonic. I wore my Sauconys.
Okay.
And Sam and I ran up Pac-Monadnock 3 times up and down. And every time on the way down, my foot was getting hot. And I remember feeling this in cross country, always on the downhill, but it doesn't happen in my New Balances. So my New Balance is a little tighter fit. I
Mhm.
think my foot swims a little bit in the Sauconys. And so I wore the New Balance today and I ran downhill, no problem. Like we went up a big one today. But it's just, I'm going off track there. I was getting like hot feet and I meant to like switch them out partway through that run last week and I didn't. And I made sure to wear my New Balances today because 3.5 miles downhill was a lot of fun. And it was more fun that my feet were comfortable.
There you go. Yep. So
I'm going to be looking at Relay for the New Balance 880s. If anyone's listening, I'm a size 9, 9.5.
You definitely should. You would fit in my shoes. I wear a men's 9. I honestly buy the men's shoes because their regular is a woman's wide, and it's hard.
You
to
got
find
the
in the
carbon plated. Are you going to wear these? Are these a race shoe, tread shoe? How are you going to break these in?
Probably an outdoor shoe because I have this same exact model, same colors that I've been running in recently. Like I wore them on our run the other day when you were with me during my Yeti challenge thing, and I think just because they have a lot of cushion, I might take them with me to Yeti 100 just if I need some kind of change for footwear. Like I think I'm going to go with my trail shoes, but those aren't super cushioned. But if I just need something, I might just bring those and throw them on. And that way, if they get trashed, I got a backup pair.
You know what I just thought? You mentioned that I ran with you, and then the other day I ran with you. I haven't run alone in over a week. Over like 2 weeks now.
That's awesome.
You and I ran this week twice together.
Mm-hmm.
Wednesday morning we ran together. How freaking awesome was Wednesday morning?
Reel was the funniest thing I've ever seen. I watched it like literally 50 times by myself. Like that was hilarious. Your Canvas skills are on point, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. I'd like to thank YouTube.
Just the fact you put the Benny Hill music in the background.
Oh, wasn't that so awesome?
I just could not. I saw it at work and I'm laughing. Luckily, nobody was really around when I was watching it because I just sat there and I kept watching it and laughing.
Well,
like it made me so happy.
We ran together. You're like, I'll go with you on Wednesday morning because I've been running in the mornings lately.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'll go. I'm like, are you serious? Is this for real? What happened to you? Did you like hit your head?
And you
said one thing was like, everyone's so friendly in the morning. And we even made that observation on Friday running at 1:00. The rail trail is so busy. And I would say there were still the same amount of friendly people as we saw Wednesday morning, but there were so many more people who just weren't friendly. Not that they were mean, but they just weren't nothing.
You get tunnel vision sometimes, and I understand, but like I at least like try to say hi. I'll give a head nod or a wave or something, and then a lot of people are just like angry face and just like, come on.
But we do the run. We're in a great but we did the run on Wednesday. We're in a great mood because everyone was saying hi, and you're like, I want to get a picture of us doing a jump. And so we took like 4, and I was like, wait a second, I need to get the video of this. Yes. And so I took the video. I put my phone next to yours, and you got to put your hand like this.
Yeah, it auto triggers the selfie mode.
Yeah, you hold your hand in front with 5 fingers out, and it will give you a countdown. Weird jump. And I was like, send me the photo, send me the photo, send me the photo. I think I spent my first artwork just editing that video and getting the camera shot like the and the Benny Hill music and the still of the image. It was so fun.
Yep. It was everything I could have wanted.
I posted one today. So I went up and down Kearsarge today with Sammy. Sammy came with me again. Apparently, I wasn't super weird. And she says, I'll run with you again. So we ran up Kearsarge today, which I think last week's run was actually harder and steeper. But this is more realistic, I think, to Mount Washington. And it was 3.5 miles.
So you did like 3.5 up and then 3.5 down?
Yes.
Oh, so do you only do it once or did you do it more?
Well, yeah, what's funny is at the very end, we're kind of like, we stopped and we're chatting and she goes, are we going again?
Should we do
And I
half?
thought to myself, like, I was like, no, but shit, do you want to go again? Because if you do, I have to. And we're both
said
like,
you had to do the whole thing.
awkward pause. And then I go,
miles?
we just did 8.6 miles total. I go, I don't have 16 in me today.
Damn. Yeah, that's a lot, dude. I commend you guys for that.
I've been doing over 7 miles every time I'm going up and down these mountains, and it doesn't feel like 7 or 8 miles.
Yeah,
I'm loving it.
You did 7 with me the other day, but you said that was hard.
That was hard, and
so
that was flat.
You're used to the.
I don't know why it was hard. I think it was just the heat at that time.
We were going fast. I
kind of decided last minute to go with you, and I was going way too fast I should have been pacing you better. But man, it was beautiful. And there's this one section. She stops on the way down. She goes, "We got to take my video." We're talking about reels, and so we made the reel of. And I've been putting my arms out like this and flying. And
airplane arms, yeah.
Yeah, I guess she gave me that little nickname, Airplane Eric.
It's got a cute ring to it. There you go.
Call me Arrow.
Oh, that's like a little more badass. I feel like you have to earn that one. Go run Mount Washington. Then
I'm going to run up Mount Washington.
I feel like you'd have to run down and then be able to do it.
I'll tell you this though, on the way down was a blast, but I had to poop.
Oh shit! Quite literally, oh shit! Yeah.
Yeah, it was an oh shit.
Perfect.
It wasn't that bad. I had the butt napkins. I was ready to go.
Always
and
prepared.
I used a Camelback because I realized there's not going to be like any aid stations on Washington. And last week I learned that we only had water at the truck, and like we kept going up and down. So I would take a swig of water, but I carried a Camelback with me today, and I'm happy with it. I'm going to take it up Mount Washington. Good. It's a mountain biking Camelback, so it has a little more room for stuff in there, and who knows what the weather's going to be.
Well, yeah, you're going to have to bring like an extra layer just in case it gets like really cold up there. Yeah. Who knows? Yeah. You could get snow.
I know. Could ski down. Yep. Maybe I'll bring my skis up.
But good call with practicing. That's always a good Code Brown commandment. Practice what you're going to wear on race day so you don't get like chafing patches and you can lube up.
Hey, I think we have a 5-star review you told me about.
Yes, we do.
Yep. And this is a perfect lead into I might meet this guy on Wednesday.
Okay, so I did find a new review. I get these daily emails telling us where we are in the ranks. It's kind of fun to look at every once in a while.
Thank God you do.
But it tells me now when we get new reviews. So I am very, very excited. So this one, I believe it's from, hold on a second. I screenshotted it, so I don't have the actual like username, but I think it's Chad Zim. Chad W. Zim.
He is, I think on Instagram, he is the Clydesdale runner.
Yes, that's right. We've been chatting a little bit. So Chad,
Zimmerman, maybe?
Yes.
I got to look at it.
It says Chad W. Zim via Apple Podcasts. So thank you, Chad, for this.
What does Chad say?
Chad says, as a new listener to the On the Runs podcast, I got to say, Eric and Erica are a wicked awesome podcast team. Their chemistry and
he knows where our roots. We're from New England. Wicked awesome.
He also is too. Us New Hampshire people got to stick together.
Okay.
So he says their chemistry and banter about both running things and non-running things make it feel like you're in a room amongst friends. It's nice on a run to listen and just feel like you've got some buddies running along with you. The interview guests are also very solid, and the back and forth dynamic is great. Beware the code brown, everyone, and long live Stooley.
Love it. Go back to the middle. What did he say? In a room amongst friends?
Yep. Makes it feel like you're in a room amongst friends.
I might use that in my emails. When I emails, oh my God, that's great. What have I always said? I've always said it's like you're hanging out around a campfire, getting to know someone new,
exactly.
But in a room amongst friends. That's good.
You did good, Chad. Thank you. Thank you so much for the glowing review. We love it.
If things work out today when you're listening on Tuesday and I'm working, if we get everything done and we don't have to do anything on Wednesday, that's the plan. I'm going to meet Chad for a run on my drive back to Philadelphia.
Amazing.
Which Wednesday happens to be Global Running Day.
The best
day
of the year.
So how cool would that be if I get to go running with someone, a listener of the podcast who lives in a completely different state?
That's like, going to be so awesome.
It's so cool. I'm traveling and my brain goes to thinking, who lives near Philadelphia? Who's in Pennsylvania? So I message Aaron and Mike.
We have so many people.
I know.
That's great.
And then I messaged Chad. And so I think I'm going to go running with Chad around lunchtime, if it works out, on my drive back.
Nice.
And he showed me the route already and everything. Goes, we're going to meet here and run here. It's great. So fingers crossed it works out, buddy. We'll know late Tuesday. But,
there you go.
Oh, man, it'd be cool. But yeah, quick trip for me this week. And then I'm back. Adeline is in a play this week. We'll go Thursday night. And then I guess, is it taper week? Not really, but I'm going to not.
Or for you?
I'm not going to. No, for me. I'm not going to climb a big mountain. I'll go to McIntyre and just do some laps at McIntyre this week.
There you go. That'll keep your legs loose enough and ready to go for, what is it? The 15th, right? Yeah.
15th. Yeah.
So
2 weeks.
Damn,
2
dude.
weeks. So we'll talk one more time before I go up. I'm really excited. Like, we're taking the camper. Aaron and Mike are going to be there. I found out today Maurice, the running panda, is going to be there.
You're going to have such an awesome crew. I'm hoping somehow I can make it up at least to like just hang out with you guys for a little bit. I think that would be fun.
I mean, I know how you can do it, but you have dinner plans.
I know. I'll see what I can do.
Go to your dinner plans. We're not that. Go to your dinner plans. You'll make it up on a bigger occasion one day.
If I can't make it, at least I know you're in very good company. And
yes, I am. I'm good.
will make it.
I have a lot of people.
Maybe I'll be your Sherpa / traveling cheer squad when you do a certain race in November, perhaps.
Manchester Marathon.
Larger race than usual.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I can do that at the very least.
I was telling Sammy today, I'm just going to sign up. And if cheerleading gets in the way, then I will just run a marathon on my own, like on Monday or something.
There you go. At least, with Millennium has a really good like deferral process, or at least they'll let you I think you can get some refund back, or you can defer to one of their other races or go virtual, something like that.
Right,
so they're pretty flexible, which is nice.
Yeah. We'll see. I will sign up. I will. Manchester.
That's cool,
I'm coming for redemption on Manchester in November. That's my game plan. That's what I got in my head.
Yep.
But we got to go because I got to pack for my flight tomorrow. I want to edit this and call it a night. So I'm going to say, don't fear the code brown. And Erica,
You guys know we love you so much. We're so proud of everything you guys are doing, all of the pod fam and the listeners out there. Happy Pride Month. Happy Global Running
Pride
Day.
Month.
And
That's right. We love you all. We love everybody.
We do. Big hugs all around. So,
And wait.
What?
Don't forget, follow us on Instagram. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check us out on Threads. I'll try to do better. TikTok, because we have a TikTok admin now.
And it's not me. Woo!
And if you love us and want to be a friend or lover of the pod, check us out on Patreon. We need to do a jibber jabber for this month, Erica.
We can make that happen.
Okay.
Just when you get back from Philly.
Maybe Tuesday night. What are you doing Tuesday night? We'll talk later. But take us home, Erica, guys. Don't fear the code brown. I love you. Happy June. Enjoy. Summertime is here.
All that stuff that we already said. And don't forget to stretch.
3, 2, 1.
That was like a shit show ending. We're like, wait. Oh, yeah. No, that I'm cool with it. It's awesome.
Where's Erica? Where's Erica? She ends on the shard. The suspense. You're frozen. You should see yourself. What the heck happened? Where are you? There you are.
I couldn't tell if you froze or I froze because I couldn't hear you. So I don't know what you heard.
You were like this. The shard.
So it's a great place to pee. I don't know.